Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on the live webinar. We will be doing advanced technical analysis today. Before we go ahead and start, I want to do a small poll just to understand what level of experience you have in technical analysis or in trading itself. So please go ahead and take the next 2 minutes to answer the poll. We'll just give another 30 seconds for everyone to answer. All right. So most of you all have chosen the beginners. Although it is advanced technical analysis, do not worry about it. I'm going to make it very simple to understand, very easy to implement, and it is not rocket science at the end of the day. If at all you do have any questions, please keep it till the end of the session, and I will try and answer most of the questions with the time allocated to us. Let's begin. Today we are going to be looking at Fibonacci in particular, one of the technical trading tools that has been used to identify potential entries and exits in the market. Now, there are few fundamental things that I would like to make it clear before we start. Now, any indicator that is available in the world is not 100% sure shot indicator which will give you the right prediction. If that was the case, then I'm sure all of us would have made a lot of money. Each indicator has its advantages and it also has its disadvantages. Now let's go to the fundamental of investing or trading. The fundamental principle behind investing or trading is you're going to sow a little bit of money in order to reap a percentage out of it. So anything that you sow, you always expect something to come out of it. Now, in the financial markets, sowing and reaping is there, but then after you sow, it could take certain amount of time for it to, bear fruit, or it can also go against you for a period of time before it starts coming back in your favor. Now, these are all the factors that needs to be considered even before you take any kind of an investment or a trade, if before you take any kind of position into the market. So these are the fundamental things that we need to understand, that anything that you put your money into or sow into will take time, and there are good chances that it could also go against you. And the idea of technical analysis is not just to make money, it's also to help us eliminate potential risks that could come, and to minimize our risk as much as possible, of course, and to maximize our profitability as much as possible. Let's look at one more thing that I want to point out is we need to plan every trade very wisely in terms of entry and exit. When I say plan very wisely, you know the saying, do not put all your investment into one basket. You need to diversify your investment. And before you diversify your investment, you need to understand the products that you're going to be trading into. We need to understand, let's say, for example, you're going to be investing into stocks. You need to understand the particular stock. You need to understand what kind of returns it gives you year on year. You also need to understand what are the potential downfalls that you may see in that particular stock. You need to analyze and have this all these informations before you take that trade. Let's say once you invested, now because you have done a thorough analysis of the percentage movement the particular stock can make, you can also anticipate a downside which you can, at most of the cases, eliminate the risk as soon as possible. That's because we understand how the particular stock moves. And this goes with the overall portfolio. If you are going to have 20 different products being invested into, I would encourage you all to do the same analysis on each and every single product. Now let's go forward. Sorry. Yeah. Technical analysis, very basic to understand what technical analysis is. Technical analysis is a trading discipline employed to evaluate investments and identify trading opportunities by analyzing statistical trends gathered from trading activities such as price movement. So basically, technical analysis is nothing much understanding how the price movement has happened previously and to see a repetitive patterns or a behavior or a investor psychology that you can identify in these patterns so that you can take an informed decision next time you identify a similar pattern, because all trading psychology works, huge number works on the same pattern. Moving forward, we'll also look at certain other indicators that we need to keep in mind in today's session. One of it is ATR. I'm sorry, I think my screen is lagging. Just bear with me for 1 minute. All right, looks like there's a little bit of a system glitch that's happening, but nevertheless, I think you can see average true range on the screen. Till it gets rectified, let's just go forward with what average true range is. Basically, an average true range helps you determine the price movement of a particular stock, a particular commodity, a particular currency. Now, what ATR does for you is it calculates your average true range, the moment of a particular stock for a given period of time. Now, let's say if you're looking at a daily chart. When I say daily chart, you're looking at probably price movement on a daily basis. How many dollars does gold move in a single day? That is what we're trying to identify. So when you're looking at a daily chart, you're trying to understand how many dollars can gold move, irrespective of the direction. Now, in certain cases, there might be a huge spike on one particular day. Probably gold moved about $100, whereas every other day gold moves on an average of only $20 to $30. So when you look at the average true range, you also look at a time period for those single days. You look at a 20-day average of the price range that it has moved. So why do we need to do an analysis on average true range? The reason behind knowing the average true range helps you make informed decision. Now, let's say you're a long-term investor and you want to buy and hold gold, let's say for the next 6 months. Now, before you take that decision to buy, you also need to understand how much gold has moved in the last 6 months. Or you need to look at a monthly chart to understand every month how much, what potential movement could be expected in gold. Now, again, irrespective of the direction. So you can do the same analysis for the previous 6 months. You can also do an analysis for the previous 2-3 years to see a 6-month trend. Now, average true range helps you identify how many dollars you can expect if you invest into gold as of today. Let's move forward. Now, here is a chart of gold. I'm sorry, my system's still lagging. I'll try and get this chart up. Yes, now it's perfect. Yeah. So now we're looking at gold on a weekly chart. At the bottom is where your ATR is. Now, if you're wondering where you have to find this ATR, do not worry about it. We are going to go and do a live session on the live platform. So I will show you how to find out where you can find ATR. Now, if you look at this particular chart, on the top is your weekly price movement, but at the bottom it shows you your ATR. So on a weekly basis, right now the current ATR is somewhere close to $68 to $70. So now we understand better that gold moves about $70 in a given week. Now again, irrespective of the direction. Let's look at gold on a daily chart. Now on a daily chart, if you look at the same ATR, it shows that it moves about $30 on an average every single day. So if you're an intraday trader and you want to take advantage of gold, you need to identify a potential entry point After you enter, let's say for example, gold moves about $30 for the day, and gold has already gone up by $20, then you know the maximum on the upside you can expect is another $10. Of course, it can go beyond that, but on an average movement, you can expect another $10 to come in your favor. Now, vice versa. Let's say gold on a given day has dropped by $20. So we know $20 move has already happened on the downside. So you take an intraday buy, expecting gold to bounce back up. But if it does not, you know $30 is the average movement and it can go down another $10. And hence, it'll help you make a decision to keep a stop loss. So either ways, ATR gives you a good indication as to how much of price movement you can expect. This is very, very crucial when we implement Fibonacci later. So hence, I wanted to do ATR before we entered into Fibonacci. Now, again, this is gold chart on a 30-minute time frame. It moves about $3, 3 to 3.4. These are for people who like to scalp in the market, who wants to take advantage of, probably every 30 minutes, they want to take advantage of the move. Now, coming to the most interesting part of the day, that is Fibonacci. Very, very interesting. If you all have not come across Fibonacci before, do not worry. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple to understand. And I'll try my best to put it across to you in the most simplest form. Now, Fibonacci numbers is a sequence of numbers. Fibonacci is a sequence of numbers starting with 0 and 1. So your first number is 0, and then the immediate next number is 1. So if you add your first number with your second number, you get your third number. So 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 1 you get 2, 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 3, 5, and 5 plus 8 is 13. And it goes on. So it goes on to infinite. You can always keep adding your first number with your second number to get the third number, and it goes on. But why are these Fibonacci numbers so crucial or important in life? That is what we're going to look at right now. A fun fact again about Fibonacci is it is also known as the golden ratio, appears a lot in nature. Patterns such as spirals of shells, curves of waves, sea heads, pine cones, branches of trees can all be described using mathematical sequence. I will give you another example of what this means. The fact that the things as large as spirals of galaxies and as small as DNA molecules follow the golden ratio rule suggests that Fibonacci sequence is one of the most fundamental characteristics of the universe. So that is how important Fibonacci sequence is, or in fact, that is how it appears in the entire universe. Now let's look at a couple of examples. Now, if you look at the left-hand side, you will see a geometrical representation of the same numbers. So basically, they've taken 1 plus 1, and using 1 plus 1, they got 2 square, and 2 plus 3, they got 5. If you can see the square on the screen, 5 plus 8, now you should be able to see. If you add 5 plus 8, you get 13. So that makes a square by itself. 13 plus 8 makes 21, and it goes on. Now, if you connect the corners of each of these squares, if you look at 13, you can see the arch between both the corners of 13. You can see the arch between in 21. You can also see one in 34, which is more visible. If you connect every corners of each of these boxes, it gives you a spiral. Now, this is the geometrical representation of the Fibonacci series. And of course, the spiral does not stop with 34. It goes on much more. But then since we do not have space, I've stopped at 34. Now let's look at a tree. Now this is a very good example. I'm sure you all have plants at home. You can probably go and try and do this experiment at home. If you take a single branch of a tree or a plant and count how many leaves are there on that particular branch, healthy active leaves, not the ones which are dying, most likely it will have a Fibonacci number. So either there is going to be 5. Let's go back to the Fibonacci numbers. Either there's going to be 5 leaves on a single branch or a single stem if it's a small plant, okay, or if it is a branch which has more branches branched out of it, you can count the number of branches also. But at the end of the day, if you do this experiment at home, you'll realize most of it ends with your Fibonacci numbers. How many fingers do we have on one hand? 5. Okay, if you count the number of joints that you have on your arm, from your shoulder till your wrist, it's again 3. And if you include all your fingers, the joints in your fingers, again it comes to a Fibonacci number. Again, this is one more thing that you can do at home. These are just interesting facts that I'm showing, so that we understand that Fibonacci sequence occurs everywhere. Now let's move forward. Sunflower again has the same spiral, but then it's in a much more detailed version of it. Let's not microscope into it. Now, this is our entire galaxy, right? Now, if you look at the spirals in the galaxy, these also align with the Fibonacci series of numbers. So why are we looking at Fibonacci? Why are we looking at nature? We are supposed to be talking about financial trading, investing, percentage, returns, profit, loss. But what does Fibonacci got to do with this? The idea behind Fibonacci is if Fibonacci appears everywhere in life, including the human anatomy, why not in the trading world? So a few examples that was missed out on this presentation is Fibonacci is also used for algorithms. If you're a computer software, probably software engineer, probably you would know what I'm talking about. Fibonacci is also used to make architectures. One more very simple example I would give you would be, let's take, for example, let's take a height from a head till my toe. If my height, for example, let's say, for example, my height is 100 centimeter. Okay. So how much is my height? 100 centimeter. This is just for example. I'm not 100 centimeter. But then why am I telling this? Now, if my 100 centimeter is 100% of my height. Okay. And if you measure from my hip bone till my feet, it is not exactly, my body is not split into 50-50%. You know, my upper body is not 50% and my lower body is not 50%. My lower body is, or anybody's lower body, is much longer than the upper body. Now, why this difference? And where does the break point come? Where does your hip is the area where your body is made into upper body and the lower body. That means hip onwards till your leg, till your toe, is a certain percentage of your 100%. And from your hip till your toe, if you can do this at home, I would encourage you to do it. It comes to 61.8. Now, do not blame me if it's not exactly to the dot, but in most cases, all the examples that I've given you must hold true, and it always comes in the range of 61.8. One more simple example I would give you is your arm. If you measure your shoulder till your fingertip, shoulder bone to your fingertip, let's take that arm length as 100%. My elbow will be 61.8% of my entire 100%. Now, why is this so important? Why was my hip so important? Because your hip is a crucial part of your body, which helps you support your lower body. And your arm is designed in such a way that your forearm till your fingers has to be much more longer so that you can lift stuff, right? So hence it has been designed in such a way. Now, a lot of people conclude saying Fibonacci is the fingerprint of God. I will leave that up to you. But a lot of people say it's just a coincidence too. But then too many things being a coincidence also could not be a coincidence. This is just my view. Again, you all can have your own conclusion to it. Now let's get to how are we going to use all that we have learned about Fibonacci now on the charts. That is the most important thing for the day. Moving forward, okay, now a golden ratio. We understood that Fibonacci is golden numbers. Now, how do you identify, or how do you get a golden ratio? It's very simple. If you can look at the example at the bottom, 61.8 is found by dividing one number in the series by the number that follows it. For example, you take your first number, let's say 8 and 13. So if you go back, let me just go back to the series of numbers, right? So you take any of the first number, let's say, for example, 5 divided by 8 into 100, you get 61.8. Or 8 divided by 13 into 100, you get 61.8. Let's take a bigger number. Let's take 6,765 divided by 10,946. You still get 61.8. Okay, and you can do this on your mobile. I'll just give you 2 minutes. Just try this out. And if you're not getting 61.8, please write in the chat. Just take 2 minutes just to use any of the first number, divide it by the second number, and multiply it by 100. You should get 61.8. I'll just give you 1 minute to do this. You can choose any of the numbers from the chart. All right. I'm guessing everyone did this and nobody has any comments. So I'm guessing everyone got the right number. Again, try this as many times possible with all the variations. But the variation has to be you need to divide your first number with your second number and you will get 61.8. Now, coming to 61.8. Why did we convert a series of numbers into ratio? Only because when we measured my height, we were talking about a golden ratio called 61.8, and this is where 61.8 came. I'm really sorry, I think I skipped uh, before I explained how 61.8 came. Now you know why 61.8 was important. Now again, let's take my height as an example to understand why 61.8 now is the golden ratio or a crucial number. Now same with the markets. When you look at a market, it either has an uptrend or it has a downtrend. Now, whenever you see an uptrend, there's a beginning point and there is an ending point. Now, this beginning point and the ending point becomes your significant move that you want to measure. So, when you measure that significant move, you need to understand out of that 100% move that has happened, where does 61.8 of that entire height comes? That is what we're going to look at in the live charts. I will show you a couple of examples there. Now, before we go to the live chart, I've already put up some of the examples on the chart. If you can look at Apple, you see Apple, this was in 2014. You saw a significant rise. All right. I think the numbers are quite small on the screen. Do not worry. I'm going to be going on to the live screen. I will increase the font over there so you can see it. So there was a significant rise in the market and then a drop happened. Now let's look at where the Fibonacci started. It started off where the rise began and I stopped the Fibonacci where the rise stopped. So this was a 100% move. And when it came back down, it came to a specific point before it started moving up. So what was this specific point? If I go back, you will see 61.8. So it went up, it dropped by 61.8% of this entire rally, and then it continued going up. Now, probably this was just one in a million. So let's look at what happened in the Apple share itself in the future. Now I'm looking at a 1 month chart. So every candlestick that you see over here is a monthly move for Apple. Now let's look at, we were in 2016. Let's see what happens next. Now after 2016, we saw the drop came in and the market again began to go up. So now this is my significant move, 100% move upside before it gave a drop. Now the market went up as usual. This part looked like there was going to be a downturn, but it did not. It continued moving up and eventually a big drop came in. This was in 2019. Okay, after 2016 it has just been one upside movement in the market and then you see a big dive in the market. Now if you measure this entire upside move, you'll see that the market comes back down to a specific point before it bounces back up. So let's look at what that specific point was. It was 61.8 again of this entire 100% move upside. Now it does not stop there. Let's look at, I think my cursor was not showing on your screen, but then I hope you getting the point. Now let's look at what happened after 2019. Let's look at 2020. So 2019, you saw the market dropping here. That was 61.8 of the previous rally from 2016, and market picked up and then gave another big drop around this point. This was in 2020. So this was the pandemic drop. So if you look at this particular case also, if this entire move was my 100% upside move, okay, it came back all the way down and it took support again. If you look at it at 61.8, right? I hope you're able to see the charts. If you're not able to see anything, please message me on the chat. I will be able to see your messages. I'm hoping that everyone's getting to see these charts. All right, now let's get into live charts. But before we go into live charts, if we have time, I will also take you through the harmonic patterns. I will make it very simple. Harmonic patterns are basically patterns identified based on Fibonacci ratios. The patterns pretty much help you identify when to buy, when to sell. So there was a person by the name Scott Gartley. He used to look at Fibonacci and he identified certain patterns. So for example, I'm talking to you about 61.8. Market goes up, and then when the market goes up and it drops, I'm looking at the entire length the market has gone up by. So that entire beginning point to the end point is my 100% move. And then I understand whenever the market drops. Now I cannot identify when the market is going to drop. All I can do is wait for the market drop. So let's say after a move, market drops by a significant level. Let's say it has gone up by 20%, or in my example, let's say it has gone from point A to point B. That is a 100% move. From point B, it drops back down, coming closer to point A. How much of that drop has come in? That is 61.8. So hence I make my decision to buy. Every time it drops to 61.8, I think it's a good level to enter. Logically, it is still good level to enter, because if you look at the markets, you always measure in percentage. Now, any stock, any instrument that you look at, you always look at the percentage returns that you can make or the percentage loss you can make after you enter. So when you do an analysis, you always wait for a dip to buy. Now, but what dip are you looking at? If you look at, if we do not use Fibonacci, what are the percentage dip are we looking at? Now we know in the past there has been several recession that has come in. Now a recession cycle probably happens every 10 years or 12 years. But then we understand if a recession hits today, based on previous recessions, we know on an average the market can drop 50%. So if I'm investing today, while I have a feeling that the recession is about to come, I should always be ready to see a 50% drop. Now, let's say we are not in a situation where we are expecting any sort of recession, especially with all the stimulus that is being pumped into the economy. Now, if a recession is not coming, what is the other drops that comes into the market? The other drops would be a healthy correction, or it could be a geopolitical tension that is happening. Now I'm talking about a broader perspective. I'm not talking about a particular stock. General market, let's say S&P 500, that is the top 500 companies of US. Now, when you look at the other drops, apart from a recession drop, you find that on a healthy correction or a normal correction or a correction led by certain geopolitical issues always comes to a drop of 30%. So now you know every time you see a 30% drop in the market, it is a good buying opportunity. Let's say we look at a short term trade. We are looking at probably not a year's investment time or 2 years investment time. I'm just looking at the next 6 months or just 1 year, and I want to invest today. And let's say today the market has come down and I need to see how much has it come down by and what are the reasons for it to come down. So on a healthy correction, it will be roughly around 12 to 15%. So every time you see market corrects by 12 to 15%, it is a good buying opportunity for a short term period. Nevertheless, recession still could happen after you entered. So that means there is 35% more that could drop. So you should be ready for that. That is if you're planning to buy and hold, or you keep a stop loss, or you can also expect another 30% drop so that you can buy more into the same particular instrument that you're looking at. Now, why am I telling you buy more is if you're investing in a company like Apple, or if you're investing in something like gold, something which is solid, which has good fundamentals, you always know that eventually at one point of time it is going to come back up, right? But the question is, after how much percentage drop is it going to come back up? Now if you look at the percentage move on Apple itself, it's about 30-35% drop and it always recovers. I will show you that on the charts as well. But when you're using Fibonacci, you're looking at the only particular rally. So while according to Gartley, again coming back to Fibonacci, another 61.8% of the drop, and then from there it can drop again by 61.8. So if all these criterias meet, it indicates a very good buy or a sell signal. I'll give you a couple of examples later for the same. Let's look at how the patterns look. This is a Gartley pattern named after him. So if you look at it, X, A, B, C, D. So basically X to A is the first move. From A to B, if it drops to 61.8%, that means it could be a potential Gartley pattern, but it is not a Gartley pattern. Let's say from B, it goes back up to C. So now when I'm measuring B to C, I'm actually looking at the drop of A to B to understand how much it can go back up. So in this case, it has to go back up somewhere between 38.2 to 88.6. So if that happens, that means X, A, B, and C has happened. Now people wait for the D to happen. If all of these patterns, if all of these points meets the criteria of these Fibonacci levels, then from D for it to rally up, the probability is about 90%. All right, I'll show you a couple of examples on this. So there are various patterns. We'll get into the patterns slowly, but as long as you understand the foundation, that is most important right now. There is bullish crab, there is bullish butterfly. Why is it bullish and bearish? This is supposed to be bearish. I don't know why it says bullish. Bullish meaning the price has to go up, bearish meaning the price has to come down. Yeah, let's look at bullish crab. So after this pattern completes, it has to go up, so it is known as a bullish crab. After this particular pattern completes, it is expected to drop, so this is known as a bearish crab. Now this is very useful for people who like to trade intraday or try to take advantage of both sides of the market. Now let's go into the live charts. In the meanwhile, do you all have any questions? Please shoot, write it at the chat. And also, if I'm audible, if you want me to go slow, fast, please put in your comments. I will try my best to teach as much as possible in this session. All right. So basically, this is our platform. If you're very new to the platform, this is how it looks. If you've already used our platform, then I'm sure you must be very familiar with it. Let me try and make this a little bigger. So yeah, I think that should be good. All right. Now let's start off with Apple, one of the most traded stock. I mean, this is everybody's favorite. So let's just start with Apple. Here we have the Apple chart. Here we have the Apple chart. Let me go into the monthly. All right. So this has been the performance of Apple all the way from 2009, 2008 onwards till date. Currently, it's trading at 116. Also, keep in mind that Apple had a stock split, so the prices would have changed during the stock split. But then, apart from that, let's just look at the percentage move that has happened. Now, if you go to your draw tools, you have a lot of tools at the bottom that you can use to analyze the markets. One favorite thing that I like is the price measurement range. Okay, let's see how to use this. So I'm going to take the price, click on the price measurement range, and I need to have a starting point. So I'm going to keep the lowest point of Apple as my starting point and the highest point as my ending point. All right, so just approximately here. So Apple from 2019 till the peak, which it had made in September, is gone up by 5,000%. All right, now we need to break it down. Now obviously there are some who might be holding in smaller portions, there might be some who might be holding in bigger portions as well. But why did I show you these why did I show you this price movement? We're going to do the same thing on every drop or every rally that we see in the market. Let me just close this now. I'm going to change my candlestick to a slightly different candlestick. It's known as Heikinashi. Okay, a normal candlestick basically shows you, now since we are looking at the monthly candles, it shows you the price movement that happened in that particular month. The body signifies the open and the close, open price and the close price. If the open price is higher, uh, sorry, if the close price is higher than the open price, then it becomes a green candle, because it, for example, let's say Apple for this month opened at 100, and by the end of this month Apple closes at 110. So that means there's a $10 upside movement. So open was at 100 and 110 was the close, so it becomes a green candle, and the body signifies the $10 movement. All right, now I hope you all understand the foundation of fundamentals of candlestick. Now, Heikinashi, on the other hand, is similar, but it takes the average closing prices of the previous candles also. Let's not get into Heikinashi, but I'll tell you the major difference. If you can look at my screen, on a normal candlestick, you see a lot of reds in between greens, or a little bit of greens in between reds. Okay, but when I click on Heikinashi, you'll either see a series of red or a series of green starting to happen. This was a very small consolidation phase, but you can see a trend, a very clear trend in a Heikinashi candle. Now, this is what we need when we are using Fibonacci. We need to understand, okay, where did the trend start and where did the trend stop? For example, let me draw this here. The trend began somewhere here and it stopped somewhere here. Let me sorry, I'm just trying to cut off the line. Okay, got it. So if you can see, this particular trend basically went up till here, lasted till here, the orange line, if you all can see, and it began a downtrend. So now this downtrend is significant to me because it gives me a buying opportunity. All right, let's look at further. After it gave me this buying opportunity, again it went up to a certain level. Okay, so that was the uptrend before it gave a drop. Now that becomes, again, this drop is important to me, because if I'm looking at only buying in Apple, this is a very important level that I will watch out for. Now, I hope you all understood the significant upside and the downside in the market. Now, let me just close all of these and use Fibonacci directly on these charts. Okay. So let's start. This was a very gradual movement. I will not take this as a very significant upside move because Apple was just picking up during this period of time. But Apple, I see it pick up a lot of momentum from here onwards. So from here onwards, there has been a lot of momentum in Apple. So let's measure those momentum. Now, again, if you go to your draw tools, you find Fibonacci in your draw tools. Do not worry about the numbers. In Fibonacci, it is by default there. Let me just draw Fibonacci outside somewhere here. Okay, I'm just taking a bottom point to the high point. Excuse me, sorry. Yeah, so if you see, there are already set numbers. There's 23.6, there's 38.2, there's 50%, and there is 61.8. Let me try and make these values a little bigger so it's easier for us to see. Okay. Now, if you're wondering where did 50%, 38.2, and 23.6 come from, do not worry. How did we get 61.8? It was from the series of numbers. You took the first number and you divided that with your second number, and you got 61.8. If you do the same thing, if you take the first number and divide it with your third number, you get 38.2, and it goes on. There are some more numbers. There is 78.6, there is 88.6 also in the series of numbers. If you go into your settings, you should be able to find most of the Fibonacci numbers here. Of course, they have not written it in percentage over here, but then you can make out 0.618 is 61.8, 0.764 is 76.4, 78.6, this is 88.6, and it goes on. Now, once it moves beyond 100%, then you look at 161.8. The minute it moves beyond 200%, you look at 261.8. We'll get into that, but let's just focus on 61.8 for now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to remove 50%, 38.2, 23.6, let 100% and 0 be there. I'm going to make this default. Now we have only 0 to 100% move, and this is where 61.8 of this entire 100% comes. Okay, now let's measure the upside move. So we have identified an upside move which began somewhere here from this particular green candlestick, and it went all the way up till here before it gave a drop. I'll just zoom this in for you all. Okay, I'll just zoom the same area. So this is in April 2015. The rally began somewhere here, it ended somewhere here, and if you notice, it went up, and whatever reason may be for this particular drop, now we'll come to why the drop happened later, but then what are we looking at? A potential entry point. I would always sit and wait in a market for, if the market is trending on the upside, I will always wait for it to give me a good drop so that I can jump back into the market and continue the trend. So in this case, the trend continued, but how do you identify where to buy? Because for example, let's say in July 2015, when you saw the small drop, a lot of people could assume this drop is a buying opportunity. But then after that, there was a much bigger drop that came in August 2015. And then there was a little bit of hopes that came in the next 3 months after that till November. And people could have still bought back into this price just to know that it dropped back down again. So it eventually dropped, but an ideal entry point for the ones who wait patiently would be when it dropped to 61.8. Now, if we think this was the case for this time only, let's look at what happened in the next particular rally that happened in the market. So this was my next rally. Okay, let me close this and draw it back again. So you go to draw tools, select your Fibonacci, you choose your starting point of the rally, and you choose the ending point of the rally. Now I'll try and zoom this in. Yeah. So if you all can see, now this is 2016, after the drop finished and it started picking up again. The market went up. Now for those of you who missed entering over here, now you would feel that you've missed a very big opportunity when it went up. And that is true. We have missed a very big opportunity, but missing a big opportunity is okay than entering at the wrong spot and then it going against you and then we booking the loss and then it goes back in your favor. So if we are going to be following Fibonacci signals alone without taking any impulsive buys, this is how it would look like. We wait for the rally to finish whenever it finishes. Now I'm looking at a monthly chart. The same principle is applied even on a 30-minute chart. So that means you can apply the same principle even on a 30-minute chart to identify buys and sells for intraday. So it does not, what I'm showing you is on a longer time frame. And why I'm showing you on a longer time frame is because it has less ups and downs. So it's more cleaner visually to understand what is happening in the market. All right, so let's look at Apple again. From 2016, it jumped up, and then October 2018, boom, one more drop. Now, if you look at this drop, it came down again to a certain level. So that is 61.8 of this rally, this particular rally where I've taken my starting point to my ending point. And then this again became my buying opportunity. What all mistakes we could have avoided doing at this price is some of them probably, so there's the new term called FOMO, fear of missing out. So people get into impulsive buying, saying, okay, Apple is going up, it's a good company, why should I not buy? And I'm sure a lot of people would have bought on right at the top in 2018 September. I'm sure people would have bought here because they're like, there's nothing that is stopping Apple. Apple can just go up, which is true if they're planning to hold on to it for the next 10 years. But if you're looking to hold on to it for like a week, or let's say a couple of months, or even intraday, this makes a very big difference, because a lot of people who do short term trading always end up taking leverage. Let's say a person took leverage right at the top. Okay, if he was not taking leverage, then go ahead and buy, because like I told you, you always anticipate three types of drops. One is the recession drop. Second is probably a situation like pandemic or geopolitical issues drop. Third is a healthy correction. Your recession drop, always expect a drop of 55 to 60%. A geopolitical or a pandemic drop, you can always now that we've seen pandemic drop, we can expect about 35%. Or even otherwise, you see on an average, you see a 35% drop in the market. Now I'm talking about US equity market alone. We need to do the same analysis for each and every instrument. To be clear, I'm talking about US equities markets and the broader markets. And the third drop is your healthy corrections, which means it's a bullish market, but you also see a good correction that comes into the market. Like, let's say market is going up, and then suddenly you see a downtrend in the market, not because there was a negative news, but it's just a healthy correction that comes into the market after a certain rally has happened in the market. Okay, now let's look at this particular drop, 61.8. And then I was talking about people who might have taken leverage right at the top, right at this peak. Let's say they took only 2 times leverage. Leverage meaning, if you all are not used to the concept of leverage, let's say this particular account has $100,000 and they bought Apple worth $100,000. Sorry, they took 2 times leverage, so they bought Apple worth $200,000. And after they bought, the market dropped. Okay, this drop was roughly around 37%. Let's say the drop was about 40%. That means a person who bought right at the top without a stop loss, and because he had taken leverage, is not losing 37% of $100,000 or 40% of $100,000. So ideally, if he did not take leverage, he would have been losing only $40,000. His account value would have dropped to $60,000. But because he had taken 2 times leverage, his account has dropped 2 times. That means if the market dropped by 40%, his leverage was 2 times. So he is losing 40 into 2, 80%. So his account value is now $20,000. And hence, a lot of people end up jumping into a trade basically on impulsive buy, fearing of missing out, fear of missing out, and they end up taking a huge position, hoping that the market will continue rallying and they make a big return out of it. But most cases, it goes against them, and when it goes against them, because there was no holding capacity, they end up booking loss, or because there was no stop loss right at wherever they wanted to keep their stop loss, they end up taking a loss. Now, why would anyone want to take a loss on Apple? Because we know eventually, even if this drop came in, Apple went up, right? All we had to do was have the holding capacity. Now, buy right at the peak, not a problem, but also be ready to hold if it drops by 35%. Now, if we cannot wait for the 35%, or sorry, if we cannot hold a 35% drop, then always wait for a good entry point. And in this case, instead of buying at any point of this rally, just wait for a big drop to come in, measure your rally and wait for 61.8, enter at 61.8, and then you are entering at a much better level, because from here, when the market dropped, it had already dropped by 35%. So a 35% drop in Apple is a very good buying opportunity, right? Now let's move forward quickly to the next rally. This was the next rally that happened. Okay, I'll just zoom in. This is again 2019 to 2020. Now, again, one thing that I told about technical analysis in the beginning was, what people look at technical analysis is for the history to repeat again. So if you can look at Apple, Apple is the perfect example for history repeating itself again and again and again. So the first time it went up, it came back down to 61.8. The second time from the low, it made a new high. It came back down to 61.8. Okay. Now, this is the third time it dropped, and this time we know why it dropped. In 2020, February, March, we know why it dropped, right? Even in the case of a pandemic, the drop was still 61.8% of this entire rally. Okay. Now, after that, we are currently in this spot where the market has made a new high in September. Okay. And we are in November. The market is still deciding which direction to go. So, as an investor today, if you ask me, Vivian, what should I be doing with Apple? I would say wait for it to come down so that it becomes a buying opportunity for you. Now, in the case where it does come down and it continues going up, do not worry, because Apple is not the only stock in the world. We have million other products that you can invest into. If you go to your product library and just look at how many products you have more than 10,000 10,000 products in on our platform itself, and we have other platforms which can give you much more products if you're interested. So this particular platform has about 10,000 instruments. Now, if Apple is not coming down for you to buy, there will be something or the other that is coming down for you to buy. All right. Let's say nothing is come down. So at that point of time, it's always better to wait. Now I'm talking about the investment perspective. If you want to be an investor where you want to invest, buy, hold for the next 5 years. But if you're an intraday trader, use the same concepts, do the same analysis on a shorter time frame. For an investor, I'm doing analysis on a monthly time frame, but whereas probably an intraday trader might look at short-term trends. Now, why I did not do this on short-term trends is because there is a Fibonacci in every small up and down. Now, this will become too difficult for you to understand what is happening, but I'll just show you one of the example. Let's say this particular rally that happened here, there was a spike up. This is July 27th, 23rd of July. It went up till 31st of August, and then there was a sharp drop. Now I'm looking at a 30-minute time frame. So my time frame earlier, when we were looking at monthly time frame, we were talking about 2018, 2016, 2020. 2020, and earlier 2000, we started off from 2009. But now, because I'm looking at a 30-minute time frame, I'm looking at a very short-term time frame. I see a huge rally happened here in the short term, and then there was a sudden big drop. Now, if you look at this drop for an intraday trader or for a short-term trader, this would have been the ideal opportunity to buy. But if we did not know Fibonacci, we would have ended up buying probably here. We would have ended up buying here because, okay, that's a good drop. It's not a bad drop. It's a pretty good drop. But then it continued to drop. It came back up, continued to drop. It dropped again. Probably we would have bought it at this drop as well, right? In this case, it went up. It came back down. Now we are in a panic. We are like, we already bought once. We already bought twice. Now we are thinking if we should buy here again. And this, I'm talking about people who do not use Fibonacci. Let's say there was no Fibonacci here. And then now you're concerned because you bought here, it dropped further. You bought here, it dropped further. Now there is no guarantee that it should go back up from here. Okay, the little sense of assurance that we can know that it can go back up from here is because of Fibonacci, that we saw Fibonacci. If there was no Fibonacci, you would have taken a buy here, but with a lot of fear. And of course, in this case, it has bounced back up. So whoever bought in all these three areas made a good return. Okay. But then not every day it's going to be the same scenario. It can drop. And one more thing to be noted, I'm just showing you where 61.8 has worked. I will also show you where 61.8 has not worked. Okay, so we need to understand 61.8 does not mean every single time it comes to 61.8 it is a golden opportunity. If that was the case, I'm sure the entire world would be rich, or probably one person who identified that would be rich by now. um, let's go back to monthly chart. We were looking at this particular rally. This was March to 2020, where the market started picking up again, thanks to a lot of stimulus package and a lot of things that was happening to boost up the markets at that point of time. It is continuing to go up. Now, where do I invest next? Looking at a monthly chart, I will wait for it to come to 61.8. Now, let's say in the case of, I personally do not have the patience to wait for it to come to 61.8. So that is $85 a share of Apple. Okay. What I would do is I would break down my investment. Let's say I wanted to invest $20,000 into Apple. Okay. And I don't want to miss the opportunity in case Apple does not come to the 61.8 and it continues moving up. What I would do is I will always break down my investment. I will still enter at a high price, but instead of putting my entire $20,000 at one shot, I'll probably put only $5,000 here. Okay, when it comes down a little more, I'll put another $5,000 investment. When it comes down further, I'll put another $5,000. When it comes to 61.8, then I'll put my final $5,000. So what I've done in this case is I've invested so that I don't miss out an opportunity in case there's a rally. Okay, but at the same time I'm investing it in smaller portions, so in case it comes down to 61.8 of this particular rally, I will still get the benefit of Apple whenever it goes back up. That since we are looking at a long-term time frame, probably a year or two. Now, one more last interesting fact on Apple. I think I have overshot the time. Uh, I'll try and wrap this up in the next 5-10 minutes. Yeah. All right. So I hope you can see the screen. Yes. One more interesting fact on Apple alone. Let's measure all the drops that we can see. So we saw like this was a very small drop here. We can ignore this, but our significant drops actually came in one. This was my second drop. This was my third drop. This was the fourth drop. So there has been only four major drops that has come into Apple from the time frame of 2009 till date. Now, why is this important? I'll just show you. We go back to a price measurement range. So this particular tool helps us to understand how many dollars. So you choose the topmost point to the bottommost point. Okay, I'll try and do it as accurately as possible. Okay, so in this case you see it has come down by 46%. Okay, now let's look at the next drop. So this was the peak and this was the most bottom point. That is roughly around 34%. Okay, now then we see another drop here. Do not the percentage that I'm showing you here has nothing to do with the Fibonacci 61.8. This is just the overall percentage move of Apple. So let's look at this percentage drop from the peak to the lowest point was roughly around 38%. And finally our pandemic drop. This was the peak in Jan 2020 and it came down to this point exactly. That was about 34%. So now what we see is 2012, of course, there was a big drop in the tech sector. So that was about 46%. like I told you, the major drops like recession, you can always expect a 50 to 58%. In this case, we are analyzing only Apple. So Apple, you can, worst case scenario, you can expect a 46%, but on an average, it has dropped somewhere between 46 to 34%. So let's say the average drop for Apple is about 34%. So every time it comes down to 34% or close to 34%, now you know Apple is a good level to enter into. Now let's look at this peak. This is the peak. Okay, this is the peak, and let's put our average as 34 or 35%. Let's say 36%. Okay, we are expecting Apple to come somewhere down from the peak to drop by 34% or 36% or 40% to buy. I would always look at 34% because expecting it to come to 36% or 40% maybe might not happen. It might come down to 34% because the last two times, if you notice, it has come down only by 34%. So I rather be a little more safer, so enter a little bit early. Maybe I enter at 32% also. Let's say 34% is what I'm looking at. If it comes down to that level, I will buy. Now this is based on the drops that we've seen in the market. Now let's just put Fibonacci in the same spot for today. Let's say my starting point to my ending point, right? If I put Fibonacci, 61.8 is coming somewhere at 85 on Apple. So if I just bring this a little more lower, so that's about 38%. So we had seen a 38% drop. I think this was a 38% drop here. Yeah. So we've seen 34%, 34%, 38, and 46. So this area again becomes a very good level and indication for me to buy, or if I want to invest and hold into Apple. Two reasons. One, I've seen the same patterns repeat in the past. I've seen similar numbers, 34%, 38%. Plus, I have my Fibonacci showing me a good level to enter. And this is how you use Fibonacci to identify your entries and exit. I'm sorry, I've overshot the time. We won't be able to cover harmonics today, but I hope the part about how to implement Fibonacci to identify good entries has been understood, which is the key, which is the foundation. Of course, we can have one more session in the future to cover the harmonics too. But if we understand this, understanding harmonics would become more simpler. I'll just show you maybe a last couple of things on a very short term. I'm looking at Apple 30 minutes. So when I say 30 minutes, I'm just looking at like last couple of days. So this is from 20th of November, and this is where we are at today. Now apply the same Fibonacci. We've looked at applying Fibonacci from bottom to top. I'll just show you how to apply from top to bottom. Now I measure my drop. Okay, this is my drop that has begun, and market has come back up. Now it is at 61.8. So people who like scalping, who likes to take advantage of both sides of the market, this is somewhere you can think of taking a sell in the market. Okay, and how do you keep a take profit? You can measure this upside movement. So basically you're measuring this upside movement. You take a sell here. Let me just put the arrows so that it's easy to identify. So let's say you take a sell here because it is 61.8 of this drop. Okay, I hope you all are getting this. This drop, this is the 61.8. You take a sell based on Fibonacci purely, and you keep a take profit back below over here. Let's try and do this as an example. Let's say you do 100 shares. Okay, take profit, you're taking a short position. So people who are not familiar with short position, it's basically you take, you're expecting the price to go down and you gain from it. We'll do probably, if you're very, very new to trading, then this would be a very complex topic. But then the most simple idea is you're betting the prices will drop. And since you have chosen the correct direction, you make money out of it. So you enter at 116. If it drops to 114, you make $200. Now, the most important question, we spoke about entry. Now we spoke about profit side exit. How about the loss side exit? Okay, there are always 2 3 things that you can keep. If you go back to the settings, like I mentioned, there is 88.6, there is 78.6. These are the levels that comes after 61.8. I'm just going to apply this here. So you can see both these levels. Now there are, depending on your risk appetite, you can keep your stop losses. For example, in this case, you can keep a stop loss at 78.6 if you want to look at a risk reward of 1:2. So you're risking about $100 to make about $200. But let's say if your risk appetite is a little more, you can keep your stop loss further. Okay, so basically 1:1, you're risking $200 to make $200. But a lot of people are scared to keep stop losses nearby because the high chances or probability it could hit. In that case, worst case scenario, you keep your stop loss above your 100%. So in that case, you're basically, there's also 1:1 in this particular case, but not always it is going to be 1:1. In fact, sometimes it'll be you'll be risking about $300 to make about $200. It could go vice versa, but then it all depends on your risk appetite. Now, a person who likes to take leverage would probably keep a stop loss close by and maybe take a bigger trade. Now, in this case, his account value is $100,000. He is taken a sell of $1,000, but he has kept a stop loss of $1,000. Okay, so in this case, what happens? Apple goes up, hits his stop loss, he loses only 1,000. So risk management, the starting part of our session was we need to identify, or technicals or Fibonacci helps us to identify entries and exits. Now, exits is not always going to be profitable. There are going to be a lot of lost trades, but how do you manage this lost trades is what makes you a successful trader. Now, in this case, the account value is $100,000. If you're risking about $1,000, which is still decent, because you still have $99,000 to recover this, because in the case of trades that is going in your favor, you're making 1:2. So one trade goes in your favor, you recovered the loss of the previous trade, plus you made $1,000 extra. There could also be days where 10 trades might go back to back into a loss trade. So stop loss triggers. So 1,000 into 10, you lose $10,000. Okay, now your account has dropped to $90,000. But again, you still have $90,000 as long as you stick to the discipline of keeping a take profit stop loss. That is more crucial. And second is consistency. You need to continue implementing the same discipline on every trade that you do. It's not just one trade we saw it was good. The second trade we saw it was good. The third trade you over leverage. Like let's say, for example, you saw 3 trades making back-to-back profit, and you had invested only, let's say, $100,000 on those trades. But then now, because 3 trades went in your favor, the 4th trade you can't take $1 million exposure because that particular 4th trade could go under loss. So there should always be a consistency in terms of how much you're going to invest, how much loss you're going to take. A very well disciplined manner of trading would always help you become a very successful trader. Thank you again so much for having the patience. I'm sorry I overshot by 20 minutes. I hope this session was really, really helpful. If you like the session, if you have any feedback for me, if you have any comments, please write it in the chat below. We would love to take your feedback and give you the best service from our end as much as possible. So thank you again. Have a great evening. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thank you.